Councilor Payano.
Present.
Councilor Maria De La Cruz.
Present.
Councilor Levy. Council President LaPlante.
Present. Very good. At this point, we are going to have a moment of silence. I believe there may be somebody wishes to take the floor for that. And now is the time for the moment of silence portion. Moment of silence. I will ask that we, during this moment of silence, that we remember our former City Council colleague, City Councilor Nilka Alvarez Rodriguez. And I also, if you have a moment, to also remember our longtime City Clerk, Richard Reyes, whose mom has also passed and her funeral has also come. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you some information regarding the calling hours for Nilka's wake. So please join me in a moment of silence. So for those who are interested, my colleagues, and I need to get this over to you if you haven't gotten this already. The wake for our former colleague, Councilor Alvarez Rodriguez, will be this Friday. It's at between 4 and 8 p.m. at Farrah's Funeral Home right here in Lawrence. And so those are the details that I think Richard wanted to share with all of you. At this point, we have public participation. The same drill as always, 2.5 minutes. Somebody's got a bell. We're going to ring that off at 2 minutes, address the chair and any individual members of the City Council. The first person on the list is Mr. Mali. Mr. Mali.
Humayun Mali, 53 Chester Street. Good evening, honorable members. We are proud as a citizen see two councillors from our Lawrence, our Senator Reyes and Senator Pavel Payano. We are welcoming. We are example for our children how to be persistent. I hope we wish you the best luck in serving our citizens. In this important night, we the citizens are united to ask you contract for Lawrence Police. Lawrence Police with the impeccable leadership, they did excellent job. We ask you to support Lawrence Police Union and Superior Union and Senior Union. In this honorable night, we need to work with Lawrence Police. Lawrence Police, with a budget of only 16 million, sacrificed so much for our city. Million thanks to our best DPW workers. Lawrence is a beautiful city because of your hard work. We support your union. In this important emergency, we are seeking a new superintendent. We demand of the new superintendent support our teachers and their union. Lawrence wants city undergo the best example of respect for union right, police right, firefighters, DPW, and teachers union. We stand up in this important night in support of Lawrence Police Union. Contract for Lawrence Police now. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Ms. Brenda Rossi.
Thank you. Good evening, councilors. My name is Brenda Rossi, and I reside at 127 Chester Street. So who is the mastermind behind putting meters in South Lawrence? First, the businesses lost revenue because of the gas explosion. Then trying to make a comeback, they were hit with COVID. Now they're going to have their patrons pay to park to visit the establishments? And what about the residents who live where there is no parking and park on the street? Will they be issued resident parking stickers? Will the merchants who have no parking be issued merchant parking stickers? The best brainstorm is the parking meters near funeral homes and two in front of two churches. Why weren't the merchants notified of this plan in advance so they could voice their concerns? Every single business in South Lawrence should have had some communication about this before they were installed. But once again, communication from the third floor is silent. Will someone be going around to tell the merchants when the meters will be starting? Now, inquiring minds want to know, when are the pictures of Mayor Rivera and Mayor Vasquez going to be hung in City Hall? Thank you.
Next speaker is Dick Russell.
Good evening, councilors. My name's Dick Russell. I reside at 34 Cross Street in Lawrence. First, Godspeed to you and your political endeavors. Good luck. My rant will be quick and to the point. I hope the MSPCA isn't in the building because I'm going to be accused of beating on a dead horse. The dead horse du jour is the parking meter contract. Why was there so little, if any, advance notice given to the residents of the various areas that will now be forced to pay parking near their homes? Did the district councilors know about this? About the financial consequences that awaited their constituents with this new contract? Why didn't the contract even warrant a public hearing? Why is there no mention of the projected amounts of money that the city will receive from this contract? Where will the money go and what will it be used on? What cut does the city get of the parking fines the contractor collects? Why weren't the new parking kiosks put into high crime areas? Why should Lawrence's businesses be force their customers the city's new method of attracting business to other communities? If all goes as explained to me, this rant, to misquote the Rolling Stones, this is my last time. My only hope is that someone can step up and continue with my style of public participation comments. As always, I thank you for the time, and more importantly, for the time putting up with me at public participation for the last 12 years. Councilor LaPlante, I know I shouldn't address you, but you've seen all of them. You've been here the whole time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and that is it for public participation. The names, addresses, and comments are submitted to the clerk for the permanent record. I am going to look at this point for
I have 3 items that I would like to take out of order, please.
I do want to take care of one resolution situation first, if we don't mind, then we can go right to that. So Senator Payano, do you have the floor? For what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Council President. So I rise for item 6423, honoring Council at Large, City Councilor Nica Alvarez Rodriguez. I'd like to present a resolution for the council to vote on, and I know in order to do that, we would need to suspend Rule 6, so I ask Rule 4. So I ask for a vote to suspend Rule 4.
The senators asked, made a motion to suspend Rule 4. Is there a second? Seconded by, looked at Councilor Levy first. I'll ask for discussion. I'll ask for a roll call vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor Dela Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor,
Yes.
Counsel Vice President Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Council President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion to repeal Rule 4, to suspend Rule 4 is adopted. Counselor, you have a motion that you wish to pass this evening, a resolution?
Yes, Council President, thank you. So I'd like to read the resolution that I would like us to pass, and also, before the vote is taken, give space to any of us or the mayor, if anybody wants to speak on their connections with Councilor Alvarez Rodriguez. I think that would be the time. So I'll read the following. In memoriam honoring the service of former Lawrence City Councilor at Large, Nica Alvarez Rodriguez. Whereas the City of Lawrence lost a cherished leader and dedicated public servant in the passing of former Lawrence City Councilor Nica Alvarez Rodriguez, who served their community with distinction and honor as a member of the Lawrence City Council from 2000 to 2010, and again from 2014 to 2018. And whereas Nica Alvarez Rodriguez was a veteran of the United States Air Force who served her country with pride and was a trailblazer in her own right as a Latina woman in the military. And whereas Nica Alvarez Rodriguez served as a Lawrence City Councilor for the District C Arlington neighborhood, playing a crucial role in obtaining a U.S. Department of Justice Weed and Seed grant that funded crime prevention and community revitalization initiatives in the poorest section of the city. And whereas Nika Alvarez Rodriguez was an advocate for the financial and legal rights of homeowners facing foreclosure and for the state legislation to protect tenants living in properties that are in foreclosure, and was a lifelong advocate for social justice and community empowerment, and was deeply committed to inspiring and motivating people to work together to solve complex problems. And whereas Nika Alvarez Rodriguez was a gifted educator, teaching at Merrimack College, and was devoted to helping battered women and rape survivors as part of her work on the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, and as the client service manager for the Greater Lawrence Family Health Center. And whereas Nika Alvarez was a tireless advocate for youth empowerment, creating and leading the Lawrence Teen Council, a program that provided opportunities for young people to engage with local government and become active and informed citizens. And whereas Nika Alvarez Rodriguez was a beloved wife and mother, a mentor to many young people, including myself, who benefited from her leadership and guidance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lawrence City Council, on behalf of the people of Lawrence, expresses its profound sadness at the passing of Nika Alvarez Rodriguez and honors her memory tonight by recognizing her many contributions to the city and nation, recognizing and celebrating her life, legacy, and commitment to social justice, community empowerment, and education, as well as her pioneering leadership as a Latina woman in public office. A copy of this resolution shall be presented to the family of Nika Alvarez Rodriguez and entered into the official records of the City of Lawrence as a testament to her life of service and her enduring impact on our community. Councilors, I present this to a vote, and before I do that, I just want to share some words. You know, I happened to meet Councilor Rodriguez when I was 15 years old, and it was interesting, her way of being. Those of you that got to know her, got to work with her, you got to know an incredibly smart individual that could easily at any point put you in your place. You know, as a 15-year-old, she put me in my place a few times. You know, essentially one of the things that I saw in her was an individual that was a diehard Laurentian. She came from New York. She would always say, I think it was Brooklyn that she was from, but she was always saying that she was from New York, but she put all her energy and her passion in trying to better our community, and she fought for it as no one else could. You know, I think that the work that we do, sometimes a lot of people might not see it. You know, government works best when it's not noticed. It's one of the things that I think about. Like, people only notice government when things are going wrong. But she was an individual that was working for the elderly, fighting for working class people in a way that I wish I could be. So I was very saddened to hear of her passing, and I think that having her be a counselor here of this institution, it'd be a powerful thing for us to remember her in this way, and there might be other ways in the future that we could do the same. So I'll pause there to give an opportunity for anyone else that wants to share a few words.
Thank you very much, Senator. I see the mayor is here, and he may want to say a few words. And if you do, Mayor, please, now's a good time.
Good night. It is easy when somebody dies. In this moment, everybody said, that's a good person, it's a friendly person, it's a nice person, but Nika is one exception. I remember when I had service together in the same church, she sat next to me, and when I entered to the city council, she gave me good advisor. She provide a good support for my job. But for many years, I called Nika for many problems in the community, and never she said no, or never she gave me excuse. And I want to say thank you for his service, and thank you for his family, especially to Mr. Richard Rodriguez. Everybody remember, and in every city council meeting, he support her. And I want to say thank you, Nika and his family. And she living excellent legacy for the new generation. I appreciate Councilor Pavel Payano and the whole city council member for recognize his job and his legacy. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Mayor. I think, and I will take this opportunity, Senator, to say just a few words, and we will open it up. We're going to be as quick as we can, but also want to be as respectful as we can with our words. So my point here is I served for 6 years with Councilor Rodriguez. I served with her in 2000 and 2001, and from 2010 to 2014. And she, I think, always sat on that side, and I sat usually on this side. And just two things I wanted to bring to everyone's attention, besides what I put in the newspaper today, which is there are sometimes you know when a colleague comes in and will listen to your comments and doesn't have a preconceived notion about how they're going to vote because of who is the messenger. And she was somebody that it didn't make a difference what the messenger was. She was more concerned about the message. And so she would be on all different sides of votes because of the message. And so she was an excellent listener. And she would sit here, and I could see the wheels spinning in her head when there was a debate. And oftentimes, I mean, they were contentious or non-contentious. She would listen to what colleagues had to say, and then, regardless of the messenger, made her decision. And that always struck me, that she was an amazingly good listener. And that's one thing that caught me about her. And the second thing out of the two things I wanted to mention was the sponsor of this is part of her legacy. Back in 2000, when I was sitting here, this city councilor Alvarez says, I want to start this teen council. And she started, and I'm thinking, what the heck is going on with a teen council? But she pulled this thing off, and she brought young people in to sit in our seats right here to more fully understand local government and how decisions are made. And you know who part of her legacy is today? The state senator who's going to be with us for this meeting, and that he was one of those teen councilors. I think you were the chair, and I think you sat right here when I was sitting right there, and it was Councilor Alvarez who moved this forward. And and that, I think, is part of her legacy, which is to instruct, bring government to a level where people could appreciate it, and then infuse it with our young people, where our young people could then, we don't know where they're going to go. Someday they could be a city councilor, and someday they could be a state senator, based on some of the things that she has done. So with that, those are two quick memories that I have about Representative Councilor Alvarez Rodriguez, and she is going to be missed in this city. Does anyone else wish to speak? State Representative Reyes.
Thank you, Councilor President. I had the pleasure to serve two-term with former Councilor Alvaro Rodriguez. And one thing that I always going to remember, that lady had her heart in the right place every single time she was here. It wouldn't matter if she would go in another different direction. Every single time she would recognize someone was here, she has positive things to say, even if she would say, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to vote in favor, and always say something about that person. But it's also a shame that we have to wait until this moment to recognize someone who is no longer with us. It's a shame. I'm going to be fighting until the day that everybody can hear that this is going to be only to remember someone who has passed a legacy for all of us, but she's not going to be able to hear, and she's not going to be able to read what we are passing on. I hope that this is a wake-up call for all of us, and not to wait too late, because we all going to be ready to go to her wake, but no one was ready, was taking the time to visit her when she was sick, and that including me. I'm not pointing any finger. This is all of us. I hope this message go around the whole entire city, We have a lot of good Nilkas in the city, but why do we have to wait until this moment? That's all I have to say. Very sad, and I'm sorry for the family for her loss.
The Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Council President. I also have the honor to serve with Councilor Rodriguez. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Now, there we go. Well, I have the honor to serve with Councilor Nilka Alvarez Rodriguez. And something that I know that, and that I noticed when I actually served with her since November 2015 to 2017, is that she was here to make a difference. And she was there ensuring that every vote she took was with one purpose, which is be able to make a difference. And that's something that we have to ensure, we have to make sure that we continue doing. When she took a vote on something that she was not an expert on, she was able to listen, and she was able to take a determination and listen to the people that knows the most within the council and from the public. And based on that, she was able to establish her vote and make a difference on her decision making. And that's something that, you know, is admirable. So I definitely thanks her for everything she did for the city of Lawrence. And definitely we need to continue with her legacy. And Council President just mentioned that she brought something up that made the difference within a young person that today is the senator. I think that we should take that as an opportunity to continue that legacy and bring the youth council back again to the floor and being able to teach those kids that are hungry to learn about government, to be able to teach them how to, what we have learned so far here. So I'm more than willing to hope and maintain her legacy alive. So thank you all for, that has served with her, and let's bring this up.
If that's it this evening, I want to thank you again, Senator, for bringing that resolution. Appreciate it, and everyone's comments are heartfelt, those that are spoken and those aren't, and I just do appreciate them. We are now going to go, I'm sorry, you're 100% right. There is a motion. Before we take the vote, Councilor Infante? I'm going to take a vote on. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution by Senator Payano?
Second.
Seconded by State Representative Reyes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. It's unanimous. Councilor Infante?
Thank you, Council President. I want to make a motion to move out of order and untable item 223, appropriation transfer, Recreation Department, $62,000 from salaries lines item to purchase services from Mayor Brian A. DePena.
There's a motion to take off the table of matters document number 223. It's been properly seconded by the State Representative. All in favor, to take off the table, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. I believe the underlying motion is to approve. Council, do you wish to have the floor?
Yes, so I actually tabled this item because there was some back and forth confusion on what was said during the budget hearing committee and what was said during the full council, and at the time, Advisor Spanner could not be in attendance in that meeting, so I tabled it to give him the opportunity to speak on the confusion and answer some questions that we had.
Did you wish to ask Mr. Spanner to address the
Yes.
council?
So this is when,
Okay.
it's been a while, so I do remember one issue was whether or not it was sent up with a favorable recommendation or a committee report. There was another confusion between Counselor Del Rosario and I believe it was Counselor De La Cruz. I don't 100% remember, but if my colleagues remember that confusion, that would be great.
Yep. Counselor, the notes indicate that there was a 4-0 vote from the full council to send it up with a favorable recommendation. And then there was a note made that it was actually 3-1 at the committee level, that Counselor Giovanni Rodriguez had voted no due to a lack of information provided at the subcommittee level. So it did come up with a favorable recommendation from the subcommittee, but it was not unanimous. It was 3-1. Counselor Rodriguez was seeking more information at that time.
But the underlying motion is a motion to approve, correct?
The motion to approve was made by Counselor Rodriguez, actually, and seconded by the Vice President Reyes.
Okay, so there you go. So do you have a question or to Mr. Spanner or anybody? Mr. Spanner's here to speak if anybody's got a question for him. Mr. Rodriguez, do you have a question?
I remember that the confusion wasn't with me. I just remember the back and forth, and I tabled it so they can have.
So essentially,
the opportunity.
thank you, Council President, and thank you, Stephanie Infante, for bringing this up. Essentially, my questions that I have at the subcommittee level were the following. Is this money we're going to be using for consultant, or this money was going to be used for the main purpose that we approved the funds back in June during the budget to hire somebody for that department, which is the recreational department? So it's a for a consultant, or you guys gonna do something else?
Octavian Spanner, Senior Advisor to Mayor De Peña. I am going to give the same response that I give during the committee meeting. My explanation was the following. We did originally thought that we were going to hire someone for the position. When we Mayor De Peña assumed office, we realized that this particular department, Parks and Recreation, we needed to do more work. And to obtain a objective opinion into what? Just the same thing that we have done with community development, the same that we have done with the economic prosperity plan of the mayor, we are trying to do with Parks and Recreation. And this is the reason. Including some of you that are here present, have met with the mayor with your concerns about your constituents, about issues related to the parks and open space. We had issues related to drinking in the parks, programs and disorganized programs and activities, a real assessment concerning the uses of the park and the condition and the state that they are in has never been done. What we have, the city has a collaborative agreement with Groundwork Lawrence, and they have been very involved, but in terms of structural programs and an evaluation of the different properties have never been done. So the mayor found it necessary to use those funds and request council approval for us to work with a consultant in order to identify all of this and then present that and use that as a tool to better the services of Parks and Recreation.
So essentially, the money is going to be used for a consultant.
Yes.
So that means that when June comes, the budget season comes, you guys are not going to present this position as somebody that you guys need for hiring?
That's the purpose as well, to have it, we will present based on the findings that we get. It's not only the position, but an overall overview of what, of the parks, the needs are with parks. And that's the right way to do it.
Essentially, we don't know if we need somebody right now.
I think it's going to be guided in that direction, but it's not only to have a position. What we're trying to do is to make sure that we have look at the needs and demands of the community, and also that these parks are essentially, we can make better use of them, and to evaluate the states that they are in. I mean, most of the, and this, maybe some of you already know, that some of the parks, now things have gotten better, but parks are really where people come and they drink and have bottles, debris all over the place. Programs are not basically organized, it seems to be, and that's under this administration is unacceptable. But how are we going to correct it is the answer.
Thank you. Councilor De La Cruz?
My question is, because major that we have on weekends, when they use in the parks, because to study the problem is already visible. We have to think about solutions. Are these people going to get tickets for drinking? Who is going to be giving those tickets? Will that person be available to spend the time every weekend?
Well, those are the answers that we're looking for in terms of, you know, what exactly we should do and how to do it the correct way. Instead of throwing this responsibility to, remember, Parks and Rec fell under Health and Human Services. The expertise basically was not there. Now, since November of last year till now, things have gotten better based on the complaints of the residents, and like you said, they are so obvious. But now we're looking ahead on how we're going to tackle it and the situation and the problem, and to address it the correct way. So some of your answers, that's what we're seeking.
And I hope we don't have a specific time about the youth smoking hookah on the parks. The police will come, then that person needed to work with the police. What's going to happen to those kids at that time? I see them in the middle of the day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, anytime, then that person will have to address that issue too.
Yes.
Thank you. If there's no further comments or questions on this, I'm going to call the question on passage. Councilor Piano.
Thank you, Council President. Just to be clear, this is $65,000 to hire, $62,000 to hire a consultant that's going to do a plan on, that's going to do an audit, basically, on the Recreation Department?
Basically, that's what it is.
Okay, and when will that audit be completed?
We don't expect this to take too long of a time. I mean, this is the budget. We already started now with, well, we're going to start, I think the CAFO is here. I think March 1st, all department needs to start working on the new budget, and we would expect that before the new fiscal year, we will present, we would have that included in the budget for the new position.
Okay, thank you.
As a reminder, this is a budget transfer. So I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. I heard a no. Roll call vote, please.
I'm sorry. Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
No.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
No.
Councilor Ana Levy.
Yes.
Council Vice President Reyes.
Yes.
Council President LaPlante.
Yes.
Motion carries,
Motion
7-2.
carries. Next item, State Rep, did you want to pull some documents up? All right.
Actually, it's going to be 3 items. I can take it as a block? One at a time, okay. First one to be out of order is 1523.
Motion to take 1523 out of order. Is there a second? Seconded by, who seconded? Thank you, Councilor Reyes. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Councilor, do you have a motion? There's a motion on that.
So,
Okay, Councilor?
Council President, so the Budget and Finance Committee met. If you'd like to present it, that's fine. Yeah, but I mean, I can present it still, but go ahead. No, go ahead. The Vice Chair.
So, do you want to take it, yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, Councilor Rodriguez, please give the committee report.
President, my mic is not working, so I pass it over to Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So the Budget and Finance Committee met, and we voted, we gave it a favor recommendation to send it to the full council with a favor recommendation, and I present that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded by the state rep. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. State Representative?
323. Out of order.
Motion to take 2323 out of order. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call discussion. Councilor Dela Cruz?
What kind of training they're planning to offer?
This is to take it out of order.
Or take it out?
Off the table, but I'll go back to you when the question is. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Is there a motion?
Yes, Council President, the Budget and Finance Committee met, we gave it a favor recommendation, send it to the full council. Just want to be clear that Ms. Shepherd was going to be providing some information regarding the description of training, items covered per call takers. I just want to ask the other councilors if that was done, being presented today.
Ms. Shepherd, welcome. There's a question about the call takers. Do you have that answer?
Yes, I do.
Could you bring the mic closer to you?
Good evening. We do, the police department, they do offer the training. As a matter of fact, Lieutenant Picard just handpicked 4 brand new subjects in regards of the training. I know that the last time we spoke, I was here, you asked if we were offering customer service, and that has been added to the list of trainings that that is going to be offered to the police, to the call takers and the police officers that are on duty, answering the 911 calls. So that is going to be one of them. Anonymous call, know about handling potential suicide calls and active suicide calls, and provide in the dispatcher and behavioral health emergencies. So these are 4 brand new subjects that they wasn't offered before. Again, Lieutenant Picard, she handpicked this based on the situations that the city of Lawrence has been having lately.
Any further questions? Councilor De La Cruz, did you wish to speak on this matter?
Just answer the question.
There's no further matters. I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Last one. 2423, to take it out of order.
Second.
Motion to take document 2423 has been properly made and seconded by Councilor Anna Levy. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question to take it out of order. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Council President, when Budget Committee and Budget and Finance Committee met, there we go, voted to send it to the full council with favor recommendation. I present that in the form of motion. I will say that Ms. Shepherd was supposed to provide some information regarding the different charges, equipment, et cetera, covered under the grant.
Second.
Motion made by the senator, seconded by the state representative. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilor Levy.
Where I think so that I asked, well, able requested, but it's not just only to, so we need at least when somebody submitted a grant and we have to approve, to send it to us, a copy of the grant that we will be able to see being submitted, spend the money, how you're gonna spend it. Part of that, all the information requested at the time. Do you have the information?
The breakdown, no, I do not have it with me, but I do have on what we're gonna be spending the grant on. So besides paying for salary and overtime, we also need to buy furniture for the call takers. We haven't buy any shares for the past 3 years. And as we know, that's a department that works 24/7 with no breaks. Right now, besides that, the grant pays for the computer aid dispatch, which is provided by the QD or Cube Enforcement Development, and that takes that route, the 911 call plus business call to the Lawrence Police Department, which is answered by the call takers. And it also will take care of the purchase, installation, replacement, maintenance, and upgrade of the hardware, software used by the emergency communication dispatchers. That is one of them. Then we still have the QED, which the reason why we have this equipment is the QED dispatch automatically fill in the 911 caller information into the dispatch system. Also automatically will fill into the vehicle's information for any accident. So once we get the calls, we will get in touch with the police officers without any disturbance, which needs to be for accident and motor vehicles. And it will help to mapper and geography information system that creates, manage, analyze, and all type of data. This information, we get the information from Constat, and we can get into the high accident locations in the Lawrence. And as well, Allcom, which work with the radio, provide response to the hardware, software, firmware updates, and preventive maintenance, which is done annually for the system. So all this equipment, I know I didn't bring the breakdown, but this equipment, we have to provide documentation, and it have to be approved by the 911 State Department before the City of Lawrence get award. So we do not handpick the communication of the equipment. It is definitely it is by the 911 State Department.
So you don't have the amount of how many equipment are you gonna buy right now?
No, I don't have how many equipment, because they don't usually give you the equipment. We ask for the whole system, and they will give you an amount. They will approve an amount. Let me put it this way.
I would appreciate what or thank you.
And the senator,
My question is, will you be planning to have the new building? Of course, that we want everything to be new and to be updated. Will you be able to transfer all of that equipment to the new police building? Or you will have to, again, ask for money to renew when you transfer to the new building?
As of right now, everything will be transferred to the new business. But if the 911 State Department decides that we need new equipment, they will put it into the grant and will provide the amount. Because the equipment is paid by the 911 grant, the State Department.
Saying, will you need to upgrade the system today with this grant? Will you be able to transfer to the new building? Or you have to update as well in the new location?
No, it will be transferred to the new building. Not a grade needed at that point.
Senator you done, Counselor? Senator Piano?
Thank you, Council President. No, not a question, just a statement. I think it'd be key when engaging with the Budget and Finance Committee that if a councilor is asked for certain information, I think best practice would be, I mean, I think it's great being here and giving a presentation, but I also think best practice would be sending an email with that information. That way they can verify that that's the information that they're looking for before you come up in front of us. One of the things that I would ask in the last, one of the last items we talked about, there was a discussions of different trainings. If you could provide to us what those trainings would be, I think that would be great. And then there's a question today about equipment. I think if you provide it to us, I'm sure within the grant, there's something that lists the types of equipments that you might be able, I know it's a range of things, right? But I think maybe sending that in the email as well might be helpful for some of the counselors that are interested in knowing how many, what equipments this grant would cover. When will you know, because I know it's up to the 405,000, when will we know how much we are getting?
We were already awarded 405,000.
Why is it up to?
It is based on what they approved for us.
Okay, so it's not up to, so we're accepting $405,377.
That's how much the state approved.
Okay, so it's not going to be less than that.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. If there is none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Oh, Counselor Anna Levy with a quick finger. Yes, ma'am.
When do you think that we're gonna have that information that we are asking for?
By the end of this week.
By the end of this week? I would appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Can we table?
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. I didn't hear anybody say no. I didn't hear anybody say no. I'll call again. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. I hear a no. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Counselor Maria De La Cruz.
No.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Giovanni Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes. Yes. Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Counsel Vice President Reyes.
Yes.
Council President LaPlante.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you so much. So you're all set.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you.
Ms. Shepherd, appreciate it. We're going to go back to the top of the committee reports. This is now, we're going to deal with 41122. Mr. Chair, are you ready to give that report?
Council President, Budget and Finance Committee voted to send item 411-22 to the full council with favorable recommendation, and I present in the form of a motion with discussion.
Motion's been made by the chairman, seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion?
Yes, Council
Piano.
President. So one item that I think it'd be important to clear up, that there is a great sort of package here. I just want to commend the administration for creating this document that I think clearly states where they are thinking of placing these funds. There is, our discussion is taking $16 million out of free cash. There is, if you look at this document, there's some mention of $19 million. That is $3 million that would be coming from home ARPA funding, which the council should be seeing soon. The community development should be presenting to the council a plan, hopefully by the next meeting to further discuss. But since we have Director Spanner here, I just wanted to ask him a couple questions.
And before this will be in order, I just want to make sure we have the motion clear, because there's some, I want to make sure we're clear, it's a big number. So this is a motion to spend $16 million over 2 years, and is a transfer from free cash into the city coffers. And I'm going to ask a question at some point about special project accounts to make sure that there are 7 categories, and each one of those monies go into the special categories, a special project account. So I just want to make sure, I think that's what we're going, Mayor.
Yes, Council President. I also had a question around what accounts we were going to be putting it in. So, we could start, and I can start with that question.
Go ahead.
Councilor Payano, before you start, can I distribute, because there was one item, which is the application during the Budget and Finance Committee. I believe it was you, Councilor, that asked about the application process. We have a draft proposal that I would like to share to you as well. And I would like to call our CAFO to stand, to join me and stand with me, since we you can address the different accounts as well when it comes to that, okay? Sorry, Council President. I would like to acknowledge Mr. William Castro, our Chief of Staff. I wasn't sure that when the mayor presented if he acknowledged his presence, but our new Chief of Staff is Mr. William Castro. Councilor?
Thank you, Director Spanner. We can start with this question. Thank you for submitting sort of what the application would probably look like. Who would be in charge of reviewing the applications and making a determination?
Well, as the mayor said today during his speech, he has delegated the responsibility to a group of committee, I believe we're a committee of 8. Which consists staff from Community Development, staff from the Department of Finance, the HHS, Health and Human Services, and also the mayor's office, based on, for us to make sure that our presentation and whatever we presented to you in terms of the expenses would follow also the platform of the mayor's vision for the city based on the needs and assessment. Also, we have taken advice from Mr. James Karras that has been with us since the beginning, evaluating the different, first working with us through the assessment and guiding the Kennedy School of Government graduate students, and also making sure that whatever we have proposed meets the needs of the different organizations that they had interviews with.
Thank you. My next question is, so once the vote is done, is all of this going into one account? Is it going into multiple accounts?
No.
What would be the process of that?
Based on the conversation that I had with several of you, I asked our CAFO to give an explanation that we're suggested to have different accounts. Mr. Iannello?
Yeah, the process would be we would transfer the funds from free cash to special project accounts for each of the items listed in the memo. And those special project accounts would remain in place until the project is complete.
Do we have those special do we have that information with us today?
No, we would set up the accounts based on your vote.
Okay.
Yeah, once the council takes a vote, we get the recorded vote from the clerk, and then we make a a journal entry in our accounting system, transferring it from our free cash account to these specific project accounts, which the council directs us to do.
Great. The next question is for the CAFO. So CAFO, so I know when we took the money from ARPA, did whatever the process it was, to put it into free cash, one of the reasons we were doing that was to ensure that we had the resources to pay for the building of the Leahy School. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? So like how, you know, is there a certain amount of money in free cash that's designated for that? Are we planning on moving that into a special account for the Leahy School? What is the thought process with that?
What you're referring to is we've transferred basically our ARPA money to free cash, half last year, and the last half will be this year. So there'll be another 28 or 29 million that will transfer at the end of this year, which will end up in free cash when it gets certified in the fall. And if you recall, when we voted on the Oliver School, we were able to kind of, you know, commit some, the mayor at the time committed, hey, we'll pay for that Oliver School. We would have to subsidize, using free cash, we'd have to subsidize our annual operating budget each year for a few years to pay for the Oliver School. Then when the Leahy School and the police station came in place, well, that's going to put, you know, again, my memo to the council was, we can approve this without a debt override or without a tax increase as long as we acknowledge that we have to make a transfer from free cash in the next probably about 12 or 13 years to subsidize the debt service on the Oliver, the Leahy, and the police station. And you know, right now we have roughly about 10 million, say, in debt service. We're going to need more like 15 to 17 million each year going forward until some of our older debt finally starts to mature, and then I'll provide relief, and then our general operating budget will be able to pay the debt service after about 13 years or so.
So, so your advice is keeping on free cash instead of taking the amount of money that we think we might need for the Leahy School and put it in a separate account?
Well, we have not done that yet, but that's a suggestion that we could do, but we only have, you know, we're going to need to put, that would exceed the free cash amount. What we could do is perhaps transfer, maybe at the end of this year, transfer some money into a separate reserve fund for debt service, and then next year when the rest of the free cash or rest of the ARPA funds are transferred to free cash, then perhaps we could do another transfer. But that's what we're looking at. We're committing the administration and the city council to pay for these three projects without a debt override. We're going to pay for it out of our operating budget, which will need a free cash to subsidize.
How much money do we have in free cash right now?
Prior to this transfer, we have roughly 37 million.
How much of that is from ARPA?
Approximately 30 million.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I've got a question. Just a statement of fact, this is the largest, 16 million, the largest discretionary amount that we as a city have ever faced, and because of the reasons that have already been explained. It's an amazing sum of money. I'm going to be looking for my colleagues to, I'm looking for a motion for an amendment to this, and let me explain what I'm asking my colleagues to consider. One is because of the amount of money here, and we're about to write a check for $16 million. I think part of our responsibility is to be maybe the checks and the balances of that, and to make sure that the money's being spent in an appropriate way. And so we already have a model by which, that I'm going to ask my colleagues to consider, and that's the CDBG model, where there's monies that have been allocated, groups meet, similar to that 8-member group that meets, that 8-member group, just like CDBG meets, and then they put out RFPs and whatever, applications come in, and then the council makes a decision as to whether we vote up or down on all of them. We can't X out or line item, but it's up or down on the entire CDBG. And I'm going to be asking my colleagues if we would follow that model, which gives us a second bite of the apple and makes the money perhaps more manageable for our abilities to provide the kind of context and review that I think is required of us as a legislative body. So inside this document that I happen to agree with the senator, this is a very well-crafted document. It's a lot of work that went into this. They have broken it down into 9 different departments, and there's going to be 9 different special project accounts, and each one of those, as you've seen in the documents, is 9 different amounts. Within those, if you count all the dollar amounts breakdowns after that, they break it down by dollar amounts. There's 26 dollar amounts broken out inside the document. And I would look for our colleagues to follow the CDBG model when the administration, through its course of reviewing these things with its member groups, come up with any one of those 26 items. And for an example, I'll just pull I'm not sure if the first one's a good one. It is a good one. Health and Human Services, there you'll see there's 6 different items on there. For the first $200,000, they would come to the council. They will show us where the $200,000 is being spent. Who is there a nonprofit? Is it internal? Who's doing it? What they're spending the money on? And then the council will have the opportunity to then either vote up or down on that $200,000 expenditures based on what the administration is proposing for that. So I'm looking for a motion with that concept that allows the council the opportunity, the administration to when it's each one of those, I call them pocket dollar amounts of 26, to bring it to the council like CDBG, and for us to have an up or down vote on that chunk. So if a councilor is willing to make that motion,
So I just have a question, Council President. Essentially what you're asking for is, hold on, let me see where the sections are. So what you're asking is for there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 different items. So what you're asking for is for the council to give a vote. Essentially, the presentation wouldn't be all 9 items at once. It'd be Health and Human Service would be 1 vote.
I would draw it down one more level. If you look within Health and Human Service, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different accounts right there. So we're breaking it down. If you look at all of them, there's 26 of those kinds of things throughout the 9 items. So there'd be eventually 26 votes of the council to approve 26. So the first one hypothetically would be to promote economic and social well-being for students, $200,000. Administration would come down. We have put out the RFP or whatever they're doing, that we reviewed it, the $200,000 would be spent on yada, yada, yada for this purpose with this group, just like CDBG, and then we would say yes, or we would say no, or we would say whatever we would say, like we would do for CDBG.
No, that sounds fine with me.
Okay, so as part of, so there's going to be questions. Part of the motion is going to include the pocket, I call them pocket parts for lack of a term, better term.
So I'll try to explain it. So if you go to page 6, yep, so Health and Human Services has it's $2.5 million. Within that one pager, there are 6 items there. So I think what the council president is suggesting is that for item 1 where it says 200,000, promote the economic and social well-beings of students, individuals, and families, self-sufficient programs, that the administration would come in and would say, we received, we put an RFP out, we received 50 applications, and out of the 50 applications, we picked 7, and these are the 7.
And Council President, may I say that the mayor is also, accepts that proposal as well.
Thank you, that is important. Councilor Infante.
Thank you. My colleagues and yourself and Mr. Ayanelo answered a lot of the questions that I had in my head. So I just have a question regarding the document itself. The portion of where James and the Kennedy School worked on like the business surveys and all that, it's amazing information. Is this public? Is this on the website, or how do you, or is this internal? Because I think it's really good data.
Well, we can make it available. The answer is no, but we can make it available as well. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding the package? Councilor Bruce?
For people to be able to be selected for these kind of grants, do you have a group of people that are going to be reading those proposals?
Well, Councilor, we have, since the first day of the administration that everyone knew about the ARPA funding, everybody has been asking organizations about the funding. However, based on the explanation of our CAFO, we only made a portion available based on the different other commitments, financial commitments of the city. And yes, we have received calls from many nonprofit organizations, but also a little pressure internally from our department heads to consider certain programs that they are interested in receiving certain funds. But the attention will be given to the nonprofit organizations that do present a competitive process and need. Until the weekend, we have been discussing this with different organizations based on their calls. Yes.
I think he's got a parliamentary question. I'll come back to you.
Yeah, so it's just, what's the language that we are? Yes.
So I think,
there would be a friendly amendment to the motion that would require each of the 26 subsections outlined in the February 13th proposal to come back to the council for additional final approval after the, and I don't know what we're calling them, I guess, after the, has been selected. The awardee,
after the administration
after the administration has
selects
selected, yeah.
the applicants, vendors.
After completing the selection process.
There you go.
So do you want me to say that again?
Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you so much, Council President. Quick question about the ARPA fund in general. So probably the CAFO will be able to help me more. So in general, for the ARPA fund, so we were awarded $57 million by the federal government. And 30 millions were available the first year, or how that work? I mean, can you explain a little more?
The $57.3 million, which was made available by the federal government, the city of Lawrence qualified under one of the provisions of the Treasury guidelines. We qualified the whole 53.7 million, or 57.3 million, all qualified as a revenue loss for the city. What that meant was a revenue loss, if the community had a revenue loss related to this whole COVID thing, which is the reason why ARPA came about, then you could use those, that amount of the revenue loss for any general government purpose, so for any purpose for which a municipality can spend money. So it's pretty much unlimited. So that's what, so we were able to convert that. We're doing it in 2 tranches, however, where one of the revenue loss numbers that were, or categories that we're using our revenue loss on is the cherry sheet assessment for our charter schools, which is roughly 30+ million per year. So last year, we applied the revenue loss to that category, and this year we're going to apply the remainder, which will use up the whole 57.3 million. We'll have basically 2 transactions to audit for our outside auditors. How did you use the ARPA funds? It's going to be to pay for the charter school assessment 2 consecutive years. And so that reduces our general fund expense, and it allows us to transfer it into free cash.
So essentially, I got that point that we actually going to be able to transfer that from the ARPA regulation and all those regulations that they have to free cash. We can use it for any purpose. And about 30 million, you said that was we were able to do it the first year, and then next year we're going to do the rest.
Yep.
How much money we have in free cash when we receive the ARPA funds at that point?
Well, at July 1, when we ended last year, our free cash was certified on July 1 of 22 of 42,980,000.
That was including the ARPA funds.
So
right?
that includes the roughly 30 million we transferred in from ARPA. We would have had roughly 12 or 13 million in free cash without it.
So 12, 13 without the ARPA fund, and then plus the 30 million, and then next year we're going to have the rest of the funds.
Right.
And you mentioned that there were $42 million together with the ARPA funds for this year. I mean for July 2022. And after these approvals, how much we're going to have?
If we approve, and it doesn't sound like the 16 million is going to be approved tonight, we've got to come back piecemeal. So, but assuming the 16 million, after the 16 million, we would have 21 point, it's a little small print, $21.4 million remaining in free cash.
So essentially, we have the $5 million going to DPW, plus the 16 million.
Yeah,
and
the
that's
transfers,
basically it,
roughly.
right?
Yeah, and there's a few other transfers. We've had,
100,000 for here, for there.
yeah, a couple $100,000 for the Violent Youth Program. Donovan Park was a $300,000 match. 100,000 for an ARP consultant, home ARP consultant. 99,000 for Green Communities grant you transferred. There's a Hancock Doyle intersection redevelopment for 515,000,
And
that's it.
we actually have the money going to the Leahy School to kind of like compensate the funding of that school.
Well,
That's
each
gonna
year
be out
we,
of free cash, right?
yeah, each year we're paying debt service on the Leahy School, and that's impacting our general fund operating budget. So last year, we subsidized the general fund operating budget because of that additional debt service. Approximately $4 million last year when we approved the FY23 budget. There was a transfer from free cash to debt service, basically to pay for
About
the.
$4 million?
About $4 million was last year.
And then next year is gonna be
It's going to be a little bit more.
a
Yep.
little bit more,
It'll-
like
it'll-
around how much?
Off
roughly.
the top of my head, I don't have the number, but I'm going to say it's probably 6 or 7 million.
So, and then we're gonna keep on doing that until,
Yeah, and we'll keep that for, as each year some debt matures, because we have many bonds outstanding. But over the next 13 years or so, we're going to need approximately 25 to 27 million in free cash transfers over that time period.
all right, thank you so much.
Council President?
Senator Piano.
Thank you. So Cathal, that 6.7, I think, the 6.7 million that you mentioned that would be needed next year for debt services, how much of that is what we need for the Leahy?
I don't recall the Leahy debt off the top of my head, but our debt service is, about $13 million per year, and it'll be adding, because of the debt service for the Leahy, the Oliver, and the police station starts.
So it's not the
goes
entire
up.
thing. Yeah, so I think my advice to the administration and also to my colleagues, I think that we should look at taking that money which we took a vote on, that we were saying that this section, this amount of money was supposed to be going to the Leahy School, and put in a different account. It sounds like this is not something that would be taken care of within just 1 year. We're going to be having this process for 13 years. So that means that there's different mayors that are going to be coming in. We could have a mayor that says, nope, we want to raise taxes, and we're not going to take money from free cash to do this. We're going to use that money from free cash to do something else. And if the council isn't attentive, then we're put in a situation where we're raising taxes to build a school, which is not necessarily what the people wanted us to do. I think we took this vote because we wanted to build a new school, and this was a way to do that without having to increase taxes. So I hope that the administration, and you know, Director Spannon, if you're here, is that something that you think that the administration might be able to do? Like essentially take up whatever amount of money we're saying we're gonna be saving for the Leahy School, putting that in a different account, so that way there, you know, like when we're looking at free cash, we're not, we automatically already know that money is.
Putting our hand in a cookie jar.
Yeah.
Well, I want to just clarify one thing, and that is, the city council's already taken the vote to approve the debt. So we've already borrowed the money, the school is, and we have to pay the debt. So if we don't appropriate the money in our budget, if the council didn't appropriate the money, the state will take it out of our state aid automatically, so it has to be paid. So it is something that's gonna get paid whether we want it or not. We can't change our mind. I guess that's my point I want to make. However, what you indicated was, you know, setting it aside in a separate reserve fund. We could certainly entertain that. Maybe before the end of the year, we can take some of this free cash and transfer it into a reserve fund, and then next year do the remainder. But the amount that's going to subsidize Leahy School, we're spending, the Leahy School, I think, is $102 million project, and of which, you know, 60 or 70 million is going to be paid by us. So we're only putting enough money in the reserve account, if you will, reserve for debt service, if you will, is the amount that we're going to need to subsidize, or the estimate that we need to subsidize the debt service over the next 13 or 14 years. And that number is going to fluctuate substantially, but to if we transferred 15 or 20 million into that account over this year, and maybe 7 or 8 million this year and 7 or 8 million next year, once we get our new free cash certified, that might be a prudent thing to entertain.
And I would like to add to the council in what Mr. Ianello mentioned. This is not to take $16 million and spend it, you know, in one shot. We're looking at 2 years, and also one of the questions during the conversation with you individually, we, or for those that I spoke individually, the concern one of the major concern was, okay, what is the evaluation process? And we have two models that we're going to use to make it a little more difficult. This is not a easy process, because this is taxpayers' money. This is a privilege that we were fortunate to have, and being able to transfer the ARPA funding into free cash. So we're going to use two models. One is the CIPP model. That's a way of evaluation that is context, input, process, and progress. So each one of and the other model is the key performance indicators that some of you already are familiar. Why are we using the two? Because we're dealing with multiple programs. So some of the programs are, let's say, human service related, and others are basically with dealing with businesses, which becomes a little more complicated manner. So once we have those evaluations that meet the criteria, we also want to use some of the funds to be dedicated in capitalizing or leveraging, basically, the funds. So you have $16 million. What are you going to do? Take the $16 million and just expend it? Or you're going to be wise and do better business practice, in which you consider okay, I take the $16 million, I set some money apart in which we can basically do some fund development so we can have a little cash every year until the end of the program. So the idea is not to waste this, basically expend all of them because we have it. You don't do that with your personal finance. But what we're doing is making sure that each organization is going to present it, have their goals, objectives, the program they want to deliver, and also primarily know the outcome measurement. Before, we didn't do that with all organizations, but the CDBG funding did that based on numbers. But now we're going to see programs that really worked and where we can eventually duplicate these services elsewhere because they were champion programs, but not for us to say, well, you just apply for the program, we're going to accept it. No, that's not part of it. So that's one of the ways that we can, use the funds appropriately. I hope that answers some of your questions.
Any further discussion? This requires 6 votes, and because of that, I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Dela Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Vice President Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Council President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion carries. It's unanimous. Thank you very much, Mr. Spanner. Thank you for all your work on this. Continuing on with our agenda, we do have a charter objection that was forged during the last meeting for document number 2023. What is the underlying motion on that, clerk? I think the motion was to approve, correct?
Yeah. Thank you, sorry. There's a motion to approve.
The motion was to approve, so that comes back to the next city council meeting, which is tonight. Is there any, I know that is there any further discussion on document 2023? This is the determination regarding the vote by mail and in-person early voting for primary and general elections. Any questions? If
Council President?
Yes, sir.
No questions, but if I remember correctly, I think that within that motion, there were like weeks that we had to, whether there was like different starting dates. Did we end up choosing one of those starting dates? No, okay, so.
We should be doing that
We
now.
should be doing that now.
So there's, we're just going to, go ahead, clerk. Clerk needs to make a couple of copies for us, so we're going to kind of stall debate here for a second until she returns. I think this is probably a good time, clerk, just to kind of give us one more time, because I think there's a potential of 4 votes, potential. Definitely 2, maybe 4. So maybe we can just talk about those, and then we can try to make some order of how we're going to.
Sure. I had provided you with the narrative memo, like in paragraph form with your documents, and someone made the very simple, and what a great suggestion, just to break it down into 4. So I kind of made a chart. I thought that might be an easier way to look at it. So you've got your primary election on the top row there. Vote by mail is required in your primary election unless you opt out. So if you don't vote on that item tonight, we will have vote by mail. And that primary election's on November 19th. So if we do nothing tonight, we'll have vote by mail. It's expensive. We have to pay about $10,000 in postage for vote by mail. So I just want to make sure, that is money that the state may pay us back for, but it's not guaranteed. So they allow us to opt out if we so choose. So that's item number one. Then the second item is similar, yet different. It's in-person early voting, and it's not required. So if the council has to vote if you want to have in-person early voting. If you don't vote, we will not have in-person early voting. And if you do vote on this, we need to set the dates. The primary election again is on November 19th. The earliest start date you can have for your early voting is 17 days before your election, which is that Saturday, September 2nd. And the latest it should end is the third day before your election, which is that Saturday, the 16th. However you choose to do that is up to you, if you choose to do it at all. And you don't have to include those Saturday dates. So Saturday dates do get expensive because everyone's getting time and a half on a Saturday as opposed to just regular time or overtime. Then we would have our general election. It's the same thing. Again, it's presumed that we will have vote by mail. We have to opt out if you don't want to have it. And then with the general election for the in-person early voting, again, it's not required. If you don't vote to adopt it, we won't have it. And again, the earliest you could start that would be Saturday, the 21st, and it would have to end by November 4th. You could end it sooner, and you could start it later if you have it at all. It cost us $5,000 a week to have the early voting last year. We did 1 week at the primary and 2 weeks at the general. It was $15,000. It was $5,000 a week just to have the staff. We did not have to pay for police officers. There's a police officer in this building all the time anyway. We're not required to have one. But the main expense was the $5,000, and that's for the poll workers, which is we have 2 wardens and 4 poll workers. There's 6 workers in this room running that special.
Council President?
Councilor Piano, then State Representative Rose.
Madam Clerk, do we have an idea of how many people voted during early vote?
I believe we had 508 people in the general, which is a very low number, but it was also no real contested races by the general. And the primary was slightly higher, but not much.
So my
State
question.
Representative and then Councilor Levy.
Thank you. If we decided to go as primary election voting by mail, I know that we have to vote, no, we don't.
If you don't do anything, we'll have vote by mail.
We hold by mail. Because my concern is that I know that early vote also work, and I know there was a low turnout this election, but not every election is going to be the same. Voting by mail, I know that I find like people seems to get and respond more efficiently than early vote. So I rather just keep it as it was, voting by mail early, and same for the general election. For everything, if you try to change something, just leave it as it was.
Councilor Levy actually has the floor. Then I will go to you, Councilor Rodriguez. Councilor Levy.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Floor. Got a floor, Councilor.
Thank you, Council President. So I'm always advocating for election, and that's something that everybody knows about it. If we decided, like it's on the primary election, to continue on the same way that it is right now, we don't have to do anything. But if for the final or for the general election, we would like to do a change, we have to come back again, or we have to vote today for the whole, let's say, for the whole package.
The state is encouraging us to send in our election calendar and all of our, if we're having vote by mail and early voting as part of that. So as part of that, they want to know if we're doing vote by mail, which if we don't tell them anything, they're going to presume that we are. And early voting, if we don't tell them anything, they're going to presume that we are not. So they're asking for those now. So this is something you should do now and not wait until August. Technically, you can start this 45 days before your election, which would be July and August, but the state wants to publish all the different election calendars, and many are already published. So they're asking for this information now. So that's why we put it on the agenda, not in the summertime, we put it on now so that we could have it as part. People will start pulling papers in April, so I think the hope is that you'd have this set before people start pulling their papers.
Okay, so this year, we only have like the council election. We don't have any other one. Maybe looking on past election, and seeing how low it's been election during just only for the council, I think that we should keep it the way that it is at this point. That is my suggestion.
Yes?
Can we, because I'm going back and forth, keep it the way it is? What is the way we have for council? Because we haven't implemented those for council election. So we don't have any way. The way that it is the day of the election. So not voting by mail, because during the council election, we don't have voting by mail. And not in-person early voting either, because we didn't have those either. So if we say keep it as it is, we're saying the day of the election you show up. And we also have absentee ballots, which is, we always have that. So if we're saying keep it as it is, we're saying one day voting and absentee ballot voting during the council election, because this is only a council election. So we need to clarify that.
Council President?
We're second round, so.
Thank you.
Then Councilor Levy.
Council President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve in-person early voting from the earliest start, 9:02 to 9:16, and in-person early voting from 10:21 to 11:04. And so just putting it out there, that way we can have a discussion. So if there are folks that do not like that idea, what I would suggest is to state what they think would be the best choice. So that's giving basically, I'll change it up a little bit and just, we'll take out the Saturday, so it's just Monday through Friday. So that's 10 days of 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's almost like 10 days of early voting.
So there's a motion on the floor to opt into early voting for the primary and the general from 9:02 through 9:16, not Saturday, and from 10:21 to 11:04, but not Saturday. There's a motion. Is there, seconded by the state representative? Discussion on the motion. Councilor Rodriguez.
Well, since we're actually having this motion to open the discussion, right? I'm gonna suggest for councilors to have the last week of the early voting, in-person early voting, so 5 days. So my suggestion will be to vote to have in-person early voting for the last week of the what is allowed, which is basically between 9/11 to 9/16, I believe, Monday through Friday, and the last week.
I'm going to stop this discussion right now. That will be in order, but we're going to be confused here in a second. So I'm going to split this document into 4 different sections. Okay. The first one, primary election, will be 23A. Primary election early voting is 23B. General election vote by mail, 23C. And general election early voting, 23E.
Council President?
D. And now I hear
Yes.
E and D are part of your motion.
Yeah, sure, Council President, by doing that, if nobody in the council is bringing up vote by mail, I don't understand. I mean, you're essentially taking it up, if you. So I think, Council President, since the discussion right now it's just A and B.
Excellent decision, excellent suggestion.
Thank you,
So
Council
we're gonna go back, so it's
But
gonna be this way.
before you continue, I have a question, please.
I'm gonna stop. What's that?
So,
It's gonna be, I'm gonna say in a second, but we'll listen to
so we're
Counselor.
just gonna be discussing 23B
Which is gonna be 23A in a second.
and 23A, but we're not gonna be voting on 23A, which is the first one, and then.
We might be,
And then we're not
we
gonna.
might be if someone makes that motion. If someone brings it up, no one's brought it up yet, but we might bring it up. So right now, so here's what we're doing. We're gonna make I'm sorry about the confusion, but that was a good suggestion. Primary election in-person early voting be 23A. General election, same thing, early person voting be 23B. That's not gonna confuse it by what C and D could be. We're just gonna go with A and B at this point. Make sense? Are we good? Okay, so now we know what A and B is. Councilor Rodriguez, you want to make a change. You do not want to see the 10 or 9 days that the proposal is. You'd rather see the 5 days. Before us right now, it's been, motion's been made and properly seconded for 10. You have the option of asking for a friendly amendment at this point, or you can make an amendment yourself that could be seconded, and if so, we will have a vote on that.
Actually, since this discussion to actually open it up for different suggestions, I mean, if the, you wanna take a friendly amendment?
So, Councilor Rodriguez, what I would say is, let's see what the other councilors say. If there's councilors if there's a couple of councilors that want the 10 days, then we might as well make your amendment into a vote so people can choose.
Anybody else wish to speak on this matter? Anybody else wish to speak on this matter? Who hasn't spoken yet, and then I'll come back. I'm going back. I'm going back to the state representative, unless she wants the floor. State representative, you want the floor? No? Yes? No?
No, I want 10 days.
Okay. So
10
the-
days.
So the motion right now, as it currently stands, is that we're gonna be about to take a vote on 20A and B, which are, it's not really 10 days, it's not, they're having Saturdays, right?
Sure.
So 9 days, 9 days.
So basically, between 9:02 to 9:16, no Saturdays. Right. And then the next one is 10:21, 11:04, no Saturdays.
No Saturday.
All right, still 10 days, despite, okay. I'm not seeing anybody wishing to have the floor, because nobody wishes to have the floor. I'm gonna call a roll call vote on 20,
On this 10 days.
on 10 days. Yes, Council Levy.
Okay, so September the 4th, do we say no? September the 4th, because it's Labor Day. It's a holiday. So 9 days.
9 days for the primary, 10
No
days for the...
Saturdays, no holidays. Perfect.
There we go. Is the council clear? Because I'm about to take a vote on this for A and B. All in,
The primary election first, and then we're going back to the general.
we can do whatever we want to do. I was gonna do A and B, but if you want to bifurcate, have one vote on A and then one vote on B, we could do that.
Yeah,
That's
let's
your
take it up-
preference?
Let's take it one by one.
One by one is the recommendation the chair will acknowledge, and we'll go forward with that. This is for 9 days prior to the primary election. Motion's been made, properly second. All in favor say aye.
No.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I hear a no. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 Council President LaPlante?
No.
6 to 3?
Motion carries. Now, the discussion is regarding, super. Second motion, same concept. This is called 23B, general election. This will be for 10 days, from 10/21, but not including 11/4, but 11/3. So 9 again, whatever the math is. It's from 10/21 to 11/3. Is everybody clear on this motion? Okay, motion's been made, it's already been properly seconded, so now
The proponent, to the proponent, will you,
Councilor Rodriguez has the floor. Councilor Rodriguez.
to the proponent, will you take a friendly amendment to just do it on the final week?
Again, Councilor Rodriguez, what I would say is to ask that question to the other council members, and if the other council members, if they want to do the 5-week or they want to do the 10 day, if there's people that want to do the 10 days, then I won't take it as a friendly amendment. So just offer the amendment.
I'll make the motion.
So there's an amendment to go for 5 days prior to the election, not including Saturday. Is there a second to that amendment? Seeing none, the motion dies. We're now back to 9 days? 10? Whatever the days are, starting on the October 21st, right? Okay. I'm gonna ask the clerk to call the roll. Clerk?
Before, so that we're talking about the 10 day, it's gonna be 10 days anyway, for the October. Yes, thank you. Yes.
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 Who's talking? Go ahead.
Every day. The 10 days? Yes.
Yes.
No. Motion. That are taking place at the council chambers, please. Thank you. All right, so next is only if people want, it has to be affirmative, to opt out of the vote by mail. Is there any motions, what potentially could be a C, on the primary to opt out of the mail motion by, vote by mail? Is there a motion? I'm not seeing any for that one. I'm going to ask the same question for the general election. Is there anybody who wishes to opt out of the vote by mail for the general election? Seeing none, both of those provisions are now part of it. There's no vote on those issues, so we're going to have early voting and vote by mail for primary and the general election. That's it for that. All right. I'm going to go right to business. Document 5023, Authorization to expend grant funds, FY23 firefighter safety equipment grant, $28,897.01 is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 5123, authorization to expend grant funds, emergency performance, EMPG grant, $33,280 is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 5223, FY23 funding approval of CBA with the Lawrence Municipal Classified Foremen's Association Union is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 5323, license request for 135 Butler Street, Bruce School property is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 5423, declaration of surplus property for Plish Way is going to the Housing Committee. 5523, declaration of surplus property, 7486 Myrtle Street is going to the Housing Committee. 5623, declaration of surplus property, 2426 Durham Street is going to the Housing Committee. Document 5723, resident parking only, Alden Court, Monday through Sunday, 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. by Councilors Gregory Del Rosario and Anna Levy is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 5823, loading zone, school bus drop-off pickup, Garden Street, Esperanza Academy, September through June, Mondays through Fridays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., put on by the Council Vice President, State Representative Stella Reyes. Document 5923, loading zone, school bus drop-off pickup, Garden Street, Northside, Masonic Hall, Esperanza Academy, September through June, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., put on by the State Rep. 6023, loading zone, school bus drop-off pickup, Jackson Street from Common Street to Garden Street, Esperanza Academy, September through June, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., put on by the State Rep. 6123, removal of handicap parking space at 6769 Lynn Street is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 6223, request to post, advertise, and fill the Assistant Superintendent of Cemeteries position is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 6323, clarification of grounds basis, if any, for charter objections put on by me. That's going on to the Ordinance Committee. 6523, authorization to expend grant funds, FY23 SSYI program is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. 6623, authorization to expend grant funds, DOJ Crisis Intervention Team CIT grant for $240,000 is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 6723, authorization to expend grant funds, FY23 Critical Incident Stress Management CISM grant is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. 6823, handicap parking, 2 spaces, 9 Lenox Street, put on by Councilor Stephanie Infante. We will need a vote as a late file. Is there a motion to?
So moved.
Motion to include this as a late file by the State Senator, seconded by the State Representative. Discussion? Seeing none, we're going to roll call vote, please.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez. Yes. Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Dela Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Council Vice President Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Council President LaPlante.
Yes. That item will be going to the Ordinance Committee. Before we talk about our State Senator, I do want to go through the committee assignments. Budget and Finance Budget and Finance Committee.
Be-
There you go. Somebody. For the Budget and Finance. Ordinance Committee? Tuesday the 28th for the Ordinance Committee.
Council President, can we do, I'm sorry, I said next Wednesday, can we do Monday instead? Monday, yeah.
Monday is going to be that, there is housing stuff, Mr. Rodriguez, is there a housing committee meeting next? So is there two Monday meetings, is what I'm hearing? 6 p.m. housing, 7 p.m. budget on Monday, is that what I'm hearing? Tuesday is ordinance. Are there any other committees that need, I don't think there's any personnel, there will be, I'll be putting something on the next agenda for the contract. We don't have it now.
Mr.
Any other,
No, before you, I have a question,
yes, ma'am.
just for the city clear. We had the election, sorry, we had the election for city council, but also, I was thinking a school committee also? Okay, thank you.
For what, yes, Councilor De La Cruz? To withdraw document number 4.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Councilor De La Cruz?
I would like to move document 40422.
There's a motion to withdraw document 44422. It's been properly seconded by Senator Payano. Discussion?
Yes.
Discussion. Councilor Levy.
Yes, the reason why it was in the table again, it was because some of the council have a question regarding why this item is being withdrawn.
Any further discussion on this matter? See, Councilor De La Cruz?
I did my studies, and it's no need to be one way. Excuse me. It's no need to be one way. It doesn't, because it doesn't interfere with the school or the buses.
Very good. Councilor Del Rosario?
There is a few people that live there, including the pastor who was here trying to get that a one-way. It wasn't because it wasn't interfering with the school. What they were saying is they interfere when it's time to clean the snow. Well, luckily we didn't have any snow this year. And also the way apart, because it's a narrow street. It's a small street, Platt Street. But, I mean, if my colleague did her own study without going through the engineers and she decided that it's not need to, I will respect that.
If there's no further discussion on the motion to withdraw, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Now, Councilor Payano? Senator
Already
Payano?
spoke.
Pardon me?
He already said whatever he had to say when he got it.
He's not, I'm not going to allow him to speak anymore because he already used up all his time at the podium. But now is the time, if you wish to say something regarding our colleague, Senator Payano, this is the...
Or you could say it privately, you know.
Look, I guess, I haven't thought about it much. I'll just kind of, I guess I'll start this. I'll try to keep it brief. I was here sitting there where Councilor Reyes, Selena Reyes was sitting when this teen council came up, and I do recall that. I do recall a very young Pavel Payano sitting where I'm sitting right now, and very early on showing his leadership mettle. And who would have known back then that we would be colleagues on the city council? And then I was happy, of course, to support where he is today, and I think that's a bit historical. I also recall the special, as Councilor Rodriguez said, that the special vote that came up for Pavel Payano to be on the school committee. I remember the Dunkin' Donuts chat that we had about what he wanted to see happen, et cetera, and I was very impressed by how articulate he was, how thoughtful he was, and I knew for sure, and I also knew what the family he came from. He came from good stock, educators, people who value and understand education, and I knew that we had a winner with us who wanted to be serving in the public sector. And then before I knew it, not only was he there, but he was here, and he was a colleague on the city council. Say what you want about Senator Payano or Councilor Payano. What you do know you would get is somebody who's thoughtful. You do know someone who would be willing, who was intelligent, and who was willing to speak his mind. And he wanted to be fair. He wanted to make sure that people had the opportunity to say things. And he was very much, I sound like he's dead now, but he's not. He is very much about process. And process is very important to our current state senator. And to a point, sometimes where it gets a little maddening, but we understood from where he stood, and that he was consistent about making sure that the process was followed, and that because of the rules, there were rules for everybody, and that would allow us all to know and navigate through the process. And so I'm very impressed and thankful that we had somebody, in some respects, who was the conscience to make sure that there was a tug of the sleeve, said, hey, did we see this? Did we talk about this? Are our rules being followed? And he was very consistent about making sure that took place. And for that, not only as a colleague, but as a non-leadership person, but especially as a leadership person as well as the council president, that is important that we have it. Tonight was a perfect example of an opportunity where he saw a better way to get something happen, and it made sense, and we did something on the election, on the lettering, right? That's another example of many. But I'm so fortunate. I think we are fortunate. We are fortunate that we have now someone in the State House. We're going to have two people in the State House, but tonight it's about Senator Payano. Senator Payano is going to be our voice in the State Senate. He is a voice that knows how this body runs. It's a voice that has worked, knocked on the doors of the people that we all represent, and he understands the issues that our citizens face. And we are fortunate that he is there. The last person that had the dual roles as Senator Payano was Senator William Wall, whose picture is, or his chamber plaque is over there, and I think he's got a picture somewhere as well. But this, he was a senator, and the fact that there were others who also served. O'Sullivan, there was a park named after him where the Boys Club is, was on the city council, and he was also a state senator. We haven't had many people representing the city of Lawrence from Lawrence. It's been since Pat McGovern many years ago now, who was probably the last person that was from our city. So with all that being said, I, for one, I can only speak for me. I'm very, very happy that you are taking the place that you are taking to represent us. I do know that we have an ally and a voice in the State Senate chamber, and I do know that if I make a call over to you, I do know that it will be answered and thoughtfully responded to, and I know we're not going to agree on every issue, and that's the beauty of it, because we don't have to. Difference of opinion is excellent. Difference of thought is excellent, and that what makes the debates. Unanimous votes should scare us sometimes, because we should always be asking ourselves, did the other side get considered? Because always two sides. So, Councilor, Senator Payano, thank you. Anybody else wish to speak?
Oh, good.
I would like State Rep Ms. Reyes. She said it right. We have to recognize people when they are alive, not when they die. And you did a good job.
Thank you.
Into you no longer with us, to recognize you, and that is the proof that we are doing tonight. So I don't have much to say, because fortunately, I am very happy that I'm going to be continuing serving with him, bargaining him. I know that he's going to be a 2-floor up of me. It's going to be 2?
They haven't given my offices yet, so
Well, I'm assuming there's going to be only 2 floors, that I can use the stair and I can grab him and yell at him. So I am very happy for this opportunity that he is going to be taken to represent and continue representing us. And one thing that I have to second what the councilor president, challenges is always make growth. And this is a big challenge that we have, even though that we are going to be having more representation, we still have a lot to do. And I'm sure that I can count on him to make things possible for Lawrence and Methuen. Yes.
Counselor Infante.
Thank you. I do have to say, I've had the pleasure of working with Senator Payano numerous occasions already through my day job, and I do know that we do have an amazing advocate for our community. So I'm very excited to continue working with you in that capacity, both as my job and as a counselor. I do have to say, and I've said this to him many times, I don't know if anyone has noticed, but every time the senator speaks during a council meeting, I give him a look, because he, when he has his moments, and we started joking, it got to the point where we started joking where he's like, I don't even look your way anymore because that dirty look you have. And I'm like, who am I gonna give dirty looks to? And it just became a little insider joke, and I'm gonna miss that. I told Councilor Rodriguez he's the runner-up, so get ready for those.
Counselor Levy.
Hi. Congratulations. It's a pleasure for me to be working with you, and you know that. So I think for the last 4 years, when we started ruining this campaign, you told me you are ready to work and ready to knock door, and I say yes, I was ready. I just learned a lot from you. And I noticed, how persistent you are, and that is something that I like to see, principally in young people, persistency, and to go forward for what they really, really want. And that was one of your things in mind, to get, I remember when you ran a couple of years also for the same position, and you were not practically not able to get in there, and I know why you did it. And then now, I knew that you're gonna do it. Congratulations. And I know that we're gonna continue working together.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President, I want to say thank you for your service, for your dedication for our community, and also I want to mention, we're waiting for the State House tour.
Anybody else? Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes. Well, essentially, I said a bunch of things in the podium, and I just want to reiterate what I said. We work on a lot of things together and strategically discuss a lot of things, how to work on different items. And it is amazing how to, you can work with somebody and not necessarily agree on everything, and just have a conversation about the issues. And for that to happen, we have to have one specific thing in mind, which is the city of Lawrence. And I think that we both have that in mind. And,
Motion to pass then.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Levy, seconded by Counselor Rodriguez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Counselor Rodriguez.
Well, Pavel, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you have done at the school committee level when we worked there together, when you were part of Sandbox. That was also important to me. 11 months working on different issues. We actually, I learned a lot from that institute. And you were part of the staff. So thank you for everything you have done for Lawrence. And I know that you're going to continue doing better.
Thank you. Council President.
I'm going to recognize you right now to all my colleagues who want to speak, have a chance to speak. Anybody else wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, Senator Payano.
Thank you, Council President. So I'll add just shortly, it's been amazing work with you, as I said in the podium. My advice for the future is I would say that it's important for us to think about why we're here and why everybody else is here. And one of the things there have been meetings where folks can come up to me, are you angry, are you upset? I'm like, no, I'm not upset, I just, I had a different point of view, because at the end of the day, I understand that all of you guys care about the city as well. So at the end of the day, how can I be mad at Councilor Reyes if we might disagree on a certain vote? There's no, she's trying to do what she believes is the right thing. Because I keep that in mind, one of the things that I know that I always ask for in my 5 years here is to keep our conversations professional with each other, and also to ensure that those that are outside are being professional to us. And I hope that is able to be continued. I think that there's a lot of opportunities. One of the sad things is leaving projects on the table. There is a project around recycling that I think that there's capacity and there's a space to connect with the city about that, to change our ordinances, to bring in more state funds, and basically let's put us on par with other cities that are similar like us, like Lowell and like Haverhill. There are a lot of questions around rental insurance. Unfortunately, it's something I'm leaving on the table, and I hope that perhaps there are councilors that in the future would like to take that on. And lastly, there is one project which you will be seeing me come back for, which is electrical aggregation, which right now is in the ordinance committee. I hope that the ordinance committee can move it forward so the full council can vote on it at the next meeting. I was hoping we might see it today, but I'll be at the next meeting on the other side or virtually to talk about that, because I think it's a really good project. So thank all of you for your service, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you in this new capacity. Thank you.
Councilor Payano, would you make the motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion is made by Councilor Payano, seconded by Councilor Levy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're adjourned.